Welcome to today's reading. This is a reading that's going to be for individuals who find themselves in a enough of a soulmate connection that there is telepathic communication present. Maybe it's new, maybe it's something that's been there for a while and it's developing into new ways. Or maybe you guys have kind of gotten a bit of a time of being apart and you're coming back into communication and things are just, they're not adding up with the person that you knew. In this kind of a connection, you guys know each other really, really well. At least at one point in time, you knew each other better than you thought you could know another person or be known by another person. And something is really not adding up with what's coming through telepathically. If this sounds like it's something that's going on, then what follows is something that could probably help you unpack it a little bit and maybe look at it a little different, analyze it, maybe give you some solutions as well as to how to cope with it, because I have been through this myself and I've had a lot of help from my spirit team, from divine, from source, from my ancestors. I've had a lot of help and I'm very, very grateful, and it's time that this be shared, as I'm not seeing information like that out there readily available, or I would have been watching it myself. So it's time for this to be something that's given voice. So first, I want to go into some of the ways in which this telepathic bleed over can happen. For those that are tuning in and they think that maybe that's what's going on, this is a way of confirming that is what's happening. Then we'll move into how it can be manipulated to be perceived as one thing, but actually something else. Okay, so the one that I'm probably going to speak to the most is going to be the emotional aspect to things, because feeling another person's emotions, it's going to affect how you think. It's going to affect your decisions. It's going to affect your relationships. It's going to affect everything in your physical reality. If you don't understand that what your emotional state currently is not just your own emotion, it will definitely affect everything. So developing an awareness of what's your emotional state in a telepathic connection like this, a soul tie soulmate connection like this, versus what's their emotional state, it can be challenging, because it takes you a little bit to get on top of it, because you're going to attribute your emotional state to things that are going on in your environment. And you could probably find an explanation for just about any emotional state. If you're angry, you could probably go, yeah, well, I have this that I'm irritated about right now, and I got this that I'm stressed about, and that I'm stressed about. And then you find yourself giving your energy to that. Your focus goes to those things. And it becomes their emotional state and yours, and it's really intense. When you find yourself there, when you're acknowledging it's too intense for what could be causing it in my own environment, that's when you know it's not just your own emotion that you're feeling. It's the emotion of the person on the other side of this connection. And that awareness begins to draw that boundary, because it's yours, it's not mine. I may be aware of what's yours. And there are things that you could do in those situations, depending on the dynamic between you and that individual, to actively diffuse or communicate. Such as maybe they're feeling really sad or something, and you can send them a text message saying, just thinking about you. You may not know what they have going on. A text message is when they can get to it and they can see the time and they can know that they matter to you, that you wanted them to feel better about just everything, right? That's just an example. But it could also be taste. Like having popcorn, and not popcorn, what is it? Yes, popcorn chicken. I think it's popcorn chicken in sweet and sour sauce. Kind of tastes like Fruit Loops. It's a little off, right? Like, that's chicken. You know, I don't know. Why does this taste like Fruit Loops? Or really obvious, like you're having a steak and it tastes like gummy bears or ice cream. It just doesn't make sense. But a lot of times it's going to be more subtle. It's definitely going to be more subtle. Like you're inside and you're moving around and suddenly you feel a splash of water on your leg, and there's no way that water could have gotten splashed on your leg. These are just some of the ways in which you may experience this, and they may be rare, but depending on your affinity and your ability, your sensitivity, wherever you're the strongest in your awareness of your abilities, it's probably going to be coming through most dominantly through that area. And this may not be the other person's strength on the other side of it. So you could be getting all the physical sensation input, and they could be getting all your emotional input. So that's another way of looking at the telepathic connection there. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's fascinating, and it's awesome, and it's really cool when you first encounter it, if you're in communication with one another about it and you're not alone in it. If you're alone in it, it can be, am I crazy? And my hope is that from this message, the comments that we have down below, please, guys, reaffirm for everybody else that may be watching this right now, that feels totally isolated in this and questions their sanity. Leave some kind of like a thumbs up or something, or a peace sign. Leave some kind of comment down below to let them know, hey, you're not alone in that. There's a lot of people that are experiencing this. So you're not crazy and you're not alone. Now, this part being spoken to, I'm going to transition into speaking to the mimicking energy that could be affecting your connection. First of all, there's two purposes to this energy. It's definitely karmic, so there's something to be learned from it. Definitely something to be learned from it. And that is going forward, once you have it fully down, who your person is, energetically, telepathically, completely, once you have that completely down, nobody else will be able to wear their energy and fool you. It's a protective measure in a way. It's like school. Now, this does not excuse the things that these energies do, these consciousnesses, because this can definitely be like the soul or the higher self of physical people in their life, as well as your own. Definitely, but it could be, ancestors. It could be from another dimension. It could be entities. It could be, a whole bunch of things. So the way that I have just labeled it is like, this is a personality that is not my person's. So when this stuff comes through and it's not your person, that they would not say this to you or do this and still expect you to be like cool with that, it's probably not actually them. So this is a challenge that's presented in these kinds of connections, because you need to be able to recognize your person and not let anyone else into that connection. And this is the only way to do it. This is the only way to really hone that, is when something piggybacks and tries to get access to the feelings and energy and emotions that you you only have with your person. You only share with your person because the two of you have earned that level of comfortability with one another. So at first, they come through, and especially if it's a thing where, you guys kind of haven't talked for a while, or you're just learning this, you're just exploring this, and something just suddenly is not, like, it's new. It's new. It's something that they haven't, like, they don't have that affinity, right? And it's a totally new category. Yeah. Probably not your person. So if you're going through something like this, I would highly, highly recommend that you begin to try to get comfortable with opening the topic with your person. Because really, they're the only one that's going to know what's going on their end. And they're really the only one that can confirm it or deny it for you. So, what they do is they basically, they can mimic your person's energy, but they can't mimic it perfectly. And if it's a situation where you feel it's one particular personality, where whatever that may be, they may continually get better and better and better at mimicking your person's energy. But ultimately, they're there for one thing. And then they get what they want and they just leave. Like it gets bad energetically. It's kind of like they take all that love and that light that you give your person, and then they just give you all their dark and their ick and their yuck. So, would your person ever treat you that way? If your answer to that is no, then hey, I'm with you there. So in the discernment, it's breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down. So at first blush, you're like, hey, this doesn't seem right. This little thing right here is off. And so you immediately are like, I'm open to this being my person, but this particular thing, I'm not so thrilled about. It's not vibing right. So I'm reserving judgment. I mean, unless it's blatant and it's not subtle. I mean, if it's blatant, you can just straight up be like, I reject this energy. I reject this personality. I reject this interaction. And then it's just done. Because anything other than it being done is unacceptable. And own that. Like, you have that power. Like, you heard that in my voice, right? Be there, where it's not like I'm angry. It is unacceptable. You're firm. You're not open to negotiation. And it is hard when you're an empathic person with compassion and you see the good in people to be that firm. But this isn't personality that is there to hurt you, there to take from you, there to harm you and your person and your relationship, your connection. Because if this is happening to you, it's happening to them too. They're probably just as confused. So if you were going really good for a while and then suddenly nothing, something may have came through that wasn't you, that they're not sure was you or not you. And that's why you're not talking. That's why you're not communicating. Because they're not sure. They're doing this too. So, the way to begin to kind of help each other is you guys know each other really, really well. You know what they're like. You know how they treated you. You know what they would not be okay with, doing to you, let alone having done to them. You understand one another, right? So with that being said, there's also like the inside jokes, the little things that you could drop, the ways that you, when you do communicate, that you can let them know where you stand that aren't overt, blatant. If you're not comfortable just being blatant, and those of you that are watching or listening that have that, that is such a blessing. Oh my gosh. But for many, we don't have that. We don't have that where you can just walk up to them and be like, hey, by the way, I know that you were sad yesterday. And they'll be like, what, huh? That's a little out there. You know, like that's something that we have kind of ingrained to not necessarily just walk up to them or speak to them and be like, I know what goes on inside of you. That's an intimidating thing to say to somebody. And there may be individuals around them that observe this. And frankly, you may or they may not be ready to hear this or express this. So there's subtle ways that you can communicate that everything is actually fine on your side, or that this is where you stand on something because something comes up in communication for a reason. Something has caused them to question it. So you speak your truth. Such as, you know, like say, and this is probably a pretty charged one, but well, I don't know. So when you get into a relationship, there's certain things that it's just considerate of the other person to mention that you know could be non-negotiables before you fall in love with one another, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like those kinds of things. But this is something that, like, they know about you, but maybe others wouldn't. And you're just reaffirming to them that you're still you. That the person that they know, just like you remember them, and you know that what you're getting isn't them, you're reaffirming that it's you that's physically in control of you, that's present within you, which helps them to go, what I'm getting isn't actually from my person. Ooh. Okay, what do I do with that? Once the both of you are suspicious of this energy, this personality, and it could be more than one. There could be one personality interacting with them and another interacting with you. It could be the same one with both of you as well. Once you both are kind of suspicious of this, you will begin to develop a more and more refined way of identifying the actual person versus someone or something wearing their energy as a mask. So, if, you know, there's so many different unique situations that this can present itself in. And, you know, I don't know all the things that you guys would like to know, all the questions that you may want to have answered and clarified, and like the finer caveats or notes to it, if you will. So definitely, like, I am open to you guys asking questions. Definitely. And my spirit team, like, they're on board with this, guys. Like, this is something that people are hungry for. So know that you are welcome and you are safe here. And it's not just like, whenever you watch a reading, your spirit team and that channeler's spirit team are communicating. You're safe. You're completely safe and comfortable to be, or, well, I don't want to say that you're comfortable, but I would like you to know that you can be comfortable in this space, that you are welcome here, and that you are surrounded by positive, high vibe energy that only wants to bring healing to these situations and clarity, because you're here because you're going, what is this? So do leave a comment below. Do an emoji, like a smiley face. That's pretty neutral. Let's just do a smiley face for the people that are listening to this, that are like, I thought I was crazy. I'm having a telepathic communication. Just affirmed for them. If you have experienced this, or you know someone who has, Just drop a smiley face down there and let these people know that they're not alone. And then if you have specific questions and you feel comfortable dropping that in the comments, please do. Otherwise, feel free to email me. If you would like a specific reading where our spirit team can get together and kind of collaborate on what needs to definitely be communicated for the highest good, send me an email and we'll set something up. And, please like, share, subscribe, because there's a lot of people that could really benefit from having a safe place to have this conversation. And the more people that get exposed to this, the more people that can be helped in knowing they're not alone with it. All right. The divine within me honors the divine within you. Namaste.